What's up, everybody? Welcome to PodLab Studios in Westland, Michigan. My name is Ace. I'm the owner and engineer here at PodLab Studios. And in today's video, I'm gonna talk about how I built the studio, the whys, the why nots, the pros, the cons. And you're also gonna find, if something does catch your eye in the video, you're probably gonna find an affiliate link in the drop-down description below. So check that out. Please, before I do start, like, subscribe, share, and maybe make a comment. Let me know if I did something wrong or if you don't agree with something. We're always learning. We can always be better, right? And also in this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience as well. So maybe things that I would have changed and done differently. So stay tuned. I hope you guys like the video. Enjoy. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about is the stage and the set, how I came about. When I was building this, I wanted to build something that was fully customizable to the point where somebody could walk in, they're looking for a certain vibe, they're looking for a certain look, I could have that. So what it boiled down to for the space that I got, I basically created for now, until, I create other rooms as well. But for now, what I did was I created two potential rooms that could be combined and turned into one grand room, basically. One side is a black modern side, and it has a horizontal TV, and it also has a portrait mode TV, and that TV is really cool. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the other side is more like a light white organic, think plants, maybe shelves, something along those lines, or clean. And then if somebody has a big enough group of people that they wanted to use the whole set, that they were able to. I also bought myself a little bit of space by creating movable walls at the end. So there's hinges on these 4-foot walls, and on one side, it's just on the white side, I just have the white tiles, and on the other side, I actually put the vertical monitor in there. So more about the vertical monitor. What I did there was I want to create something that not only looked good and can give an impression of like you're literally looking out of a window, but also something that would be functional. For example, we can use it for WhatsApp or FaceTime calls. So we can have a virtual sit-in if need be, and have them in the background to give that aesthetic, that cool look, A key thing too was some room separators. I'm in a larger warehouse space, so it's a taller ceiling. I wasn't gonna build walls. Like I didn't wanna mess with the landlord's place. I didn't want to mess with the foundation and create like walls from scratch. I could have, but I found an easier option, and I was actually looking for and intended on it, and I actually aced it. Like I found it, which was these room separators, these curtains. You'll also find that link below as well. They're about 7 feet tall. So they're not quite 8 feet, which would have been really cool, but for 7 feet, 7.5 feet, that's great. When combined, there's two of them. They're like these two movable walls that you could turn into a corner. They're like dividers with curtains. I'll show more of those in videos and whatnot. And then custom LEDs. So I wanted to customize the place with some LEDs and give people that opportunity to match their logos. Maybe they're looking for a certain vibe. Maybe they want to turn the place with like green shading, or they wanted to use pink shading. Whatever the case is, they're able to do that. Along with the TVs, by the way, where they can put their logos on it. So I wanted them to feel like they're at home and it's customizable. And that was another thing, by the way, just kind of backtracking here a little bit. When I did the tiles were meant to give off this generalized look, and then we would play with the colors of the lighting in order to achieve the look that maybe somebody was going for. One thing there as well, I would highly recommend everybody to get the 19-inch versions of those tiles. There's some that are called Art 3D wall panels. Those are the 12x12s, which are great, and those are the black ones. But the stick goo 3D wall panels, those were awesome. The white ones are phenomenal. I wish I would have done the whole room that size. There's another dude that's on YouTube. I forgot what his name was, and he mentioned it as well. So I do have those also in the link below. As far as the place is concerned, to give a little bit of like an aesthetic pleasing look and give a chance for any clients that want to come in to have like different props and stuff. So I have a shelving unit. I grabbed a couple of palm trees. There's a few different like fake house plants as well. And then I added some candles, kind of gives a vibe. And if they want to bring in props, or they want to hang their shirts or books or whatever the case may be, they have that option as well. As far as the table, I really want to create a really cool table that was fully customizable. A few years back, I found on Facebook Marketplace this conference table, this beautiful conference table. I always said, hey, maybe one of these days when I get a chance to use it, I'll use it. So it had sat in my garage for like 3 years, not touched, always thought about, having that place that that would eventually come, visualized it, bought it, and now I'm using it. It was at a lawyer's office, and it's a beautiful conference table. I believe it's like 8 foot, really nice. The problem was it's not easily movable. So I got a couple of casters, put them on the bottom. Here's the problem is when I first put them on, the whole table went up like 5-6 inches, right? So what I had to do was I ended up getting a saw. So I sawed off about 4 inches from each one of the legs to make up for that caster. And it ended up being the same size, but now it's mobile. Like I move it around with ease. Like my kids can move it around. So it's really easy to move. Then I also put in about 5 grommets. One of the grommets is actually like a plug with a USB and a USB-C port in it. So if somebody needs that while they're on the table and they're talking or discussing, they have that there. And then the rest of the grommets are like standard wire grommets, or, you know, where you can tuck wires in and out of them. And the reason I did that was just want to keep everything really clean. The chairs, I should have went with black leather chairs instead of the brown. I was thinking like a really cool type of set, but everything changed because I needed something super general for the public, you know, just something very simple and easy. Black cloth or leather chairs, and I'm super happy with them. They're called Dreamster, and you can find those on Amazon. But what I would highly recommend, I would do different in that regard, is I would go to Marketplace, find 4 or 5 chairs, office chairs that are in decent condition. Try to, if you could find like a set and get them for a good deal. I would so much rather do that now, knowing what I know now. So where there's a will, there's a way. As far as all the LEDs are concerned, those were new. Those I picked up from Amazon. And one tip about the LEDs, when you are doing the LEDs, by the way, make sure you try to get all the same company, because what you can do is, and as long as you can get the ones with the phone app, don't get the ones with the remotes. Get the one that can connect to your phone. And if you get all those pretty much the same, I used Govee, and if you use those, you're able to connect all your LEDs and be able to make them work together like simultaneously and control them all from your phone. So if somebody says, hey, I want this color, I want this color, I want this color, you know, I have 18 different remotes. You just go to your phone, you're able to pick, like it shows you all the different lights that are listed, and you could name them. Like I have mine listed like left column, right column, TV, floor, so you know exactly which one you're actually editing. So actually, while I'm here, let me do it while. So we go into the Govee app, okay? And let's say I want to change let's just say the TV, right? So right now I have it in that pink color, right? So you could see we could change it to like a light blue, yellow, orange, you know, whatever color in the color spectrum in between. And let's go back to pink. So yeah, that gives you an idea of how that works. That's also the same case for these newer lights that I got for the stage and the sets. Try to get all your stage lights the same to work together, and hopefully they have some type of phone connection. It makes everything super easy. That actually leads into the next section. So as far as the lighting is concerned, what I did was I wanted a decent brand. I didn't have a ton of money to go nuts on, you know, and find these crazy expensive lights. But I did find a great in between, which was Neewer. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but Neewer lights are pretty good. Like I have their equipment. The slider that I'm using right now is a Neewer. So the equipment is pretty good. It's pretty sophisticated. You're able to connect all your lights. So what I did was I got a CB60 RGB as an overhead light, and it has the 26-inch lantern. And the other lights have the Neewer, the foldable softbox diffuser. I got one of those. And then the other two have the large softbox diffusers. And I also got to hang the lantern and the CB60 RGB. I ended up getting a 2-pack of these triangle wall mounts that will stretch out 4 or 5 feet-ish, so that the lantern can kind of hit the middle of the set, and you're actually able to sway it and swing it. I'm probably gonna put up the other triangle on the organic side, but so far so good. I love it. It's been great. As far as the other lights are concerned, those are called the 660 Pro RGB LEDs. Amazing. They also connect with the CB60. I've had no issues with them. You're able to do like full color spectrum, warm, white balance matching. They're amazing. They're great lights. The only drawback is they're not as strong as I would want them to be. I'm used to like the old school lamps that were just like your eyes would bleed after about 2 hours. Going back to LED, it's good, but it would have been nice to be able to get stronger lights. So maybe I would have went with the stronger lights, but it's what I had for the budget. And then also I have these accent lights behind the chairs there in the back. Just set them low going up so it can kind of give that vibe. Next thing we're gonna talk about is video. So I'm a Canon guy. I love my Canons. I got two R5s and I got an R6. It's overkill, okay? It's absolute overkill. You can get away with doing just an amazing job with a couple A6 series Sonys, some M50 Canons, and just keep it at the highest setting, because here's what happened. I actually have a Blackmagic ISO Pro switcher, okay? And that switcher does not record anything above 1080. Like you can't output more than 1080p. So whatever you do anyways, do you see the difference? Absolutely. You still get a really high quality HD video, you know, with an output from, a R5. But at the end of the day, it is overkill. Here's the drawbacks. I needed dummies for each, like dummy batteries for each one of the cameras for long sessions. And it's a pain in the butt, to keep it connected that way. With other people I've seen using the M50s or even A6 series Sonys, they're able to just turn them on easy enough. And just Sony in general, I don't believe that they have a limiter on their stuff. So that's one problem. But I was able to get away with it because I used the dummy batteries and I put the cameras on a certain setting that allowed them to just free flow and stay on while the Blackmagic ISO Pro was doing all the recording work. So it worked out perfect, and it's shooting over to OBS. Now what I could do is I could also do 3 separate video and audio recordings if I just go directly into the Blackmagic and just record straight out of it. But I decided that with OBS and with the system that I got, that it would just be a lot easier for me, keeps everything pretty smooth. As far as the slider is concerned, so it's also a Neewer. It's a 31.5 inch motorized cam slider. It's called a VS 80WC model. Here's the thing. I wished I would have waited for the updated camera slider, and I believe that's called the ER180. And that one actually connects to the phones. Now, here's the thing. Some of the guys that have been reviewing the ER1 are saying that they wished it didn't come with the phone app, and they wish that it would have had the hard remote. So I do have the hard remote. I like it. It works just fine. It's pretty smooth, as you can see. Here and there, I mean, as time has gone by, it does make a couple of like shakes or jitters if it's not like perfectly set on a table, but that's all right. Like you kind of see right there actually while I was speaking. The other thing I did for the cameras, this is not necessary for you, but for me, like when I'm on the go, I got small rig cage kits with the cameras, and they have cable clamps. Here's the big thing especially with these Canons. I don't know if it's just the way it's shaped or where it is, just with all the wires. Be very careful with the mini HDMI cords. I mean, they are like, if you fart the wrong way, those things break, okay? So just like hold your breath or get one of these cable clamps. Just make sure that wire is solid. Like what I have it doing right now, for example, on this setup, I have a little clamp, a cable clamp that I connected to the Neewer unit, the base, that clamps the wire so that the wire can't get snagged. If ever you find yourself that your wire is gonna get snagged, it most likely will, because it'll happen. You'll say no, and then it'll happen. Do yourself a favor and go ahead and make sure that your cable is clamped for the HDMI cord. Mini, super mini, whatever it is, HDMI cords that you have, they're very delicate. I had to replace 2 of them already until I got that cable clamp. So that's a great solution. Just get something that will clamp the cable down while your camera is going so that it doesn't get snagged. As far as I did talk about the A10 Mini ISO Pro, that's actually the 4 channels, so I don't have like the larger one. I wish I did, which would allow me to get a 4th camera in, because even though this does have 4 channels, channel 1 is reserved for like computer/video games, and it's finicky. It's actually a pain in the ass, and I barely deal with it. I try to use it. It's been pretty annoying to use. So if anything with that, I would have wished that I would have went with the larger ATEM, but it is what it is. That's what I have to work with. 3 cameras is plenty right now, and we'll figure it out as we go. And when I can afford a camera, then I could probably afford the Blackmagic. So we'll just wait on that, right? Okay, guys, another thing too, the Padcaster Pro. So I'm using it right now, and I'm using it as a reference for bullet points. It's a teleprompter that you can hook up to your camera, and it has different customizable rings that you can set up for each type of lens. So check it out. It's great. I use it for bullet points. A lot of people, they think, oh, it's just for like scripts or whatever the case is. Create your script or create bullet points, copy and paste them, put them into the app, and it's been amazing. So it keeps you kind of on track, doesn't allow you to derail, keeps everything smooth, and it's great for your overall workflow. So I love it. I mean, it's been amazing. Next, we're gonna talk about the sound. So what I did was I want to start with the brain, and for me, that was gonna be the Rodecaster Pro 2. Now, with that Rodecaster Pro 2, the reason I went with that was because there was the new Bluetooth connectivity that I could connect phones to, the different sound options, voice options, and it was just a little bit newer, and it would keep me basically a little future-proofed for a while, and then also what I did was I added the Rodecaster Pod mics to that, just because I didn't need to get the cloud lifters or do anything else. I love the Sures. They're a little bit more expensive and they're amazing. But at the end of the day, for me and what I'm doing here, these were more than enough. And especially with the sound that's coming out of these. And, if we ever needed to do or create edits, we're able to do that. But I want to kind of keep everything streamlined, just for the workflow. It's just easier. There's already settings inside of the Pro 2 for the Rodecaster, so you could just hook them right up. It already knows what to do. So I really like that about them. The reason I went with those as well, by the way, is because they are dynamic mics. And what I was looking for was something to literally just get the voice or vocals or sound from that direction. Because being in a warehouse, there are noisy neighbors here and there. There's like the roof is metal, so you can hear it, cracking or whatever. And I didn't want those in my audio, and it was going to be a pain in the ass to try to get those out. So I went with dynamic, and that's that's the main reason. It allowed me to not have to have something that's super, super sound treated or soundproofed, and still be able to pull off an awesome podcast. So let's talk about the boom arms that I used and now that I'm not using. So I went ahead and got the PSA ones, the plus ones by Rode, and they're great. They're awesome, amazing quality. And they even give you the grommet hookup where you could put it into the table, which was so sick. It looks so cool. And here's the issue is they're way too clunky for video. I could see these being used in a radio station. I could see these being used in a podcast studio where it's just audio, but not a great fit. It's not the low profile that you're looking for when you have 4 people sitting at a table, and then you're gonna have to arrange it's just a mess. So what I did was, in the meantime, I do have the miniature mic stands to sit on the tables, and eventually I do wanna go with the low profile so that people don't hear like the clicks and bangs if they're sitting down, if they tap their hand on the table. That's the only annoying thing, but I haven't found it to be big enough of a problem to resolve yet. But I am looking for suggestions on a low profile arm that does fit into a grommet. I haven't been able to find one with a grommet. I find them mostly with clamps, they clamp up to the table. But if you guys have any suggestions, please put them in the comments, because I am looking, but I'm not looking to spend like a crazy amount of money, okay? As far as headphones for playback, don't overthink it. Like, if you can end up getting something in a pack with, with a set or something like that comes on Amazon, like a audio set, starter kit, some type of bullshit like that, go for it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, sound is really important, okay? And I don't want the audio heads to get mad at me. But when we're talking about a podcast, I always tell people, like, think of it like this, like you're trying to pump out content. It's never going to be perfect. Look at all these guys. Look at the Rogans of the world. Look at, Bad Friends. Look at all these guys. I mean, there's always something happening that's just out of the blue. And that's the whole point of a podcast, is the realism of it, right? So unless you're creating like some type of, movie set, then, and you're looking for like the highest quality audio, or you're creating, the next soundtrack to, some movie. As far as audio is concerned, you just want to be able to hear the headphones, the playback in the headphones, make sure everything's going right. If you want to, if nobody's engineering and you're engineering yourself, you're going to have all your guests maybe have the playback in their headphones too. So I'd recommend anything that looks decent to you, go for it. Not a big deal. As far as the mic stands, now, and there's the mic stands that I use for the tables. And then there's ones like that I'm sitting on right now that you can see here. And for those are really effective for people like sitting in chairs. I loved them and I'm using them as we speak, but there was an issue. So the pod mic is really heavy. It's about 2.25 pounds. So I had to figure out a way to kind of counterbalance that. And give me 1 second. I'm going to stop talking here. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to stop talking for a second and show you. So what I did was I ended up putting a counterweight on the other side. I found some used on eBay and what they are is they're those counterweights that come off of shoulder rigs. So guys that used to use the shoulder rigs or still use shoulder rigs, they usually have these little, and I believe they're eighth inch thread that can attach to the back of your shoulder system, whatever you're doing, or even the steady cams, old school steady cams before gimbals came out. There was like these counterweights. 1 second, let me grab it. So here's a counterweight. I have another stand that I'm gonna probably put this on, but what I had to do was, because the bar here at the end of this particular stand I bought, I was able to take the butt off. Like there's like this little like plastic cover at the end. If you see some of the tripod stands that are for photography, they usually have like this really thick 1/2 inch like piece that sticks out, and those actually stick into it. So what I found out was that this ball head allowed me to do that. And then there's like this little connector at the end that I could screw on the counterweight to. If you can see it right here. And that's how I did that. So instead of having to spend, a few $100s on a mic stand just because it was sturdy and heavy. So you get creative, you get creative without having to spend thousands of dollars. And that was really it for that. As far as the computer is concerned, what I did was it's been a while since I had a really, really solid computer. And it was actually a computer that was in the making, like a year's worth in the making. Because what I was doing was buying and selling electronics. So along the way, I might find like an RGB fan, I might find a cooler, I might find this, I might find that. What I ended up doing was settling on the motherboard being super important, that it had connectivity, compatibility. I really wanted Thunderbolt. I wanted to make sure I had everything to kind of future-proof me a little bit. So I got really lucky and found a Z590D Gigabyte Vision motherboard. Amazing. It's got 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back. It's got endless USB, super speed. Amazing. I coupled it with an i9. I ended up getting 128 gigs of RAM. And look, some people might say it's extensive. You know what? It's been like 10 years for me since I've had like a really, really good computer. So I deserve it. So I ended up, splurging on that part of it. As far as the hard drives are concerned, NVM2 hard drives, it's awesome. I would definitely invest into a solid computer, and if you can upgrade your computer, definitely do that. Don't leave it hanging, okay? As far as like speakers are concerned, I ended up getting the Creative Labs T20s. They're kind of like a sweet spot. They're not too crazy loud. They're not for like any studio monitoring, but they were enough to get the job done. Allow me to hear playback. Again, I'm not looking for anything crazy. So as far as your eyes, look, take it from me as a guy that wears glasses and contacts. You put a ton of strain on your eyes as an editor, as somebody doing podcasting. If you're opening a new podcast studio and you're actually going to be the one engineering, and you're not used to sitting in front of a monitor, you really need to watch your eyes. If you got glasses, put that blue film, I forgot what it's called, the anti-glare and blue film over your glasses. Even the ones that are non-prescription, try to get those. And also use a light, like a monitor light that you can hang over. The one that I got is a Malo. It's super effective. I really like it. It's not crazy expensive. It's not the cheapest, but it wasn't crazy expensive. And it's got a decent reach for the monitor that I got. So I also did dual monitor stands. So that way I can have the monitors off the desk. I have as much space as possible to work on. And I do feel that, like, I use that space. I'll have notes, I'll have this, I'll have that. So it's definitely super important to have a decent sized desk with ample lighting, so you don't strain your eyes. If you're sitting there hours at a time, it's going to take a toll on your eyes. So definitely invest in something like that. So let's talk about the makeup room. So I did create a little makeup room. It's more of like a utility and makeup room, and or somewhere somebody wants to put their stuff. And what I did that for was just in case somebody does want to walk in, they want to check their makeup. There's like a little makeup mirror that I put on a desk. Something very simple. I laid it out to be really simple, easy, and then I did a stand-up mirror for somebody that wants to check their wardrobe. So there's a little wardrobe room here as well. And I didn't spend much on that. I mean, maybe 50, 60 bucks of an investment, maybe 100 bucks tops. I grabbed one of those mirrors and put it on a desk that I already had. And then the stand-up mirror, that was really it. All right, guys, that was basically it. You'll be able to find most of the equipment that I talked about in the links below. And there's also going to be a page here up soon that you can go to that'll have all the links, the affiliate links to all the equipment that I've used, all the stuff that I use for the stage, all the props, everything. So check that out. But more importantly, if I was able to help you out and you found this at least somewhat useful, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what else you guys would like to talk about, what we could do. If there's something that I was missing, I'd really like to perfect on that. This is our first video, so whatever support I can get, I'm thankful for. I appreciate you guys' time. And until next time, you guys take it easy.